Okay, that should be coming through. I'm going to increase the volume a bit. And hopefully, hello.
This
Hello,
call
everybody.
is being recorded.
Thank you from Vince's friend, the lady recording person. So this this is an auspicious beginning to the 27th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And welcome everybody on live stream and on from the Knowledge Seekers in Italy and from people on the Skype call. So Mr. Keshe is going to be coming on a little bit later. And first we have some words from John and Marco in this Spaceship Institute. And I've been informed that we could have some very interesting things to have a look at and discuss today. So everybody's back from holidays, and I'm sure freshened from a break and ready with all kinds of new concepts to try out and work with. Lots of people are also experimenting with various GANs sandwiches and making batteries, capacitors, and other types of devices from working with the plasma fields. Okay, sounds like we have some action there at the Spaceship Institute, so let's just tune into them and see what's going on.
Okay, hello everybody. Good evening, good night, depending on where you are. Yeah, it's 8:08, so we are starting at just about the time. So, what we have to do and to explain today are the fields that are produced in the nanomaterial and the GaNs material, and especially the power cell. So understanding the power cell has been a process of nearly 2 weeks now. And we went into one direction, went in a direction misled in some ways because I thought I had some zinc, and in fact, yesterday I confirmed I had some magnesium. So it was completely wrong, the interpretation I would have of the thing. So as I understood, and I managed to have some zinc. So yesterday at midnight I had finished the system. I won't talk about Arman's system because I prefer to let it for him. In fact, the most important thing, I would have liked to have something that is completely dry. Because if in the nanomaterial you have fields, you have the plasma, which is everywhere in the nanomaterial. That nanomaterial, in fact, allows to catch the fields, and as soon as you have a pack of energy the size of an electron, it will convert to matter state in the transfer to the copper, because the nanomaterial we have is a layering on the copper wire. So that's the transfer, transfer of the pack of energy the size of an electron is converted into the AC in the copper. So what we have here, I have Marco is going to show you cells, and I have a special connection in the cell. Two things to know. We have some DC produced and we have some AC produced. Both can be done together. In each cell, we can have separately AC and DC, but we have some kind of interference also from the one to and the other. So, Rick, maybe you can put the link already on the spaceship, on the session, on the workshop. So you can see that Marco is trying to show the light, but we don't see it. You are too well. Just yes, that would be better. And just turn it a little bit this way, maybe. No, up to date should be. Okay, do you just touch and let it go? So I hope everyone can see. I have some light, but in fact, there is also the light on. Oh. I have a small problem. Oh, it's disconnected. So, when the connection is correct, I have a better light. So I have two connections that gives me some light. And I'll start to explain what my cells are made of. Those are small bottles, and the cap has 3 connections. One center, which is the nano-coated wire, and you can see underneath that each time the nano-coated wire is turned around, in the shape of a kind of ball. You can see inside that kind of ball which is there. I hope everyone can see that. And I have one wire which is zinc, a small piece of zinc like this. That's the second connection. And then a third connection, which does not touch the first or the second. The third connection is just a solder wire that goes into the cell, and that solder wire is in fact tin and lead. So I have 3 connections, and the connections are made in a double way. I think I've tried to show it in the video clearly, but let's start with first thing first. The nano-coated wire is at the end uncoated. That uncoated side with the solder is soldered to the zinc from the next cell.
should I show part of the video right now? I was showing your live video from the Spaceship Institute.
Okay. It might be perfect. So
Okay, I'll just turn it on. It's like 7 minutes, 8 minutes, and I'm not sure if it'll coincide exactly with what you're talking about. Can you see on? Do you have a live stream feed so you can see what comes up?
yes, okay.
So it won't be on the Skype. I don't think I can do both at the same time. Is the problem? So
No, then just go on and then
okay,
if I can have the live stream.
I can describe what's going on. Oh,
Okay, well,
I'll turn the audio off, I guess. And we're zeroing in on your cells there, similar to what you showed before, but it's more close up and a nice clear picture too.
okay. Well,
So it's the start of your
more.
video, and we can see more detail now with what you're just describing. So if you want to go on, we can see the solder detail right now, for example.
Okay. You see that I have a little bit of GANs at the bottom of each cell. In fact, I didn't have much because I worked home yesterday night. And I had only what was left from a previous test. So I've been shaking that in purified water, demineralized, and I've been sharing to have enough for each of the cells I had. So for the moment I have ads or something. I'm not, okay. So what I see now, go into the detail of each cell. So you can see the wider strip is zinc, and the one in the back is lead tin. So now what I see on the top, you have the connection from the center. It's a nanomaterial soldered on the next cell to the zinc, and the tin lead connection is wrapped around the nano coating. So with the tin lead, we don't have a DC connection. We have only AC connection. And that AC connection allows to have in parallel both the AC, that's first lead on the top, on the side of the orange caps, and on the side of the blue caps, that's the DC we have. So you see we have a serial connection for the wires on the AC, and at the same time a serial connection for the wires on the side of the DC. So first lead is AC. You clearly see the wrapping of, in fact, tin lead wires are in fact soldering wire. And the connection is only the wrapping around the nano-coated wire, so we don't have any direct connection. And you can see clearly that that connection allows us to have directly an LED lit on the one side. And the DC is collected indirect. That's with the soldering of the copper to the zinc electrode.
John, we had a question from the live stream whether it's a salt water solution.
No, not at all. It's as I said, it's demineralized. So I had only the small quantity of GANs that I had. It was already clean, and that cleaned GANs has been mixed with demineralized water to have a quantity enough to go into all the cells. So it's if there is some salt, it was very, very low because it has been cleaned 4 or 5 times before. So it was done that way since quite long ago. So salt content is low.
Thank you for that. There was another question about, I have a question about how I can figure out what I'm creating when I'm making GANs. How do I determine what matters I need to use in order to produce CH4, O2, or any other element in GANs form?
Well, in fact, for the GANs, we clearly see if we use copper-coated for the one electrode and copper on the other electrode, we have a blue GANs. If we take on the one side copper-coated and on the other side zinc, we have a white GANs. The same if you take aluminium with the copper-coated, you have also white GANs. And if you take some iron, you can have the orange or black. And when we have the zinc-coated iron, then we can have either the one or the white, either the orange. And it depends of the strength of each cell, one in comparison to its environment.
Okay, I have a question, and it's related. Others would have. Is it important to know what exact chemical composition of that the GANs would have, besides color blue, color white, etc., for the purposes of what you're doing?
We need to have some better analysis of that. I won't say I know when I don't know. I clearly see that the blue is linked to copper. I clearly see the white can be linked to zinc or aluminum. I see black or orange linked to iron. So my intuition would be we have some of that material inside.
But for the
Arman is arriving, yeah.
For just to be clear, for the purposes of experimentation, you wouldn't necessarily have to know the exact chemical composition of the materials you're working with. It's just a matter of using them for certain purposes, and you know it works from trial and error and so on.
Yes,
Correct?
yes, exactly.
Thank you.
So that's for me is, and we see in fact that that material we collect is kind of spherical, just in the water. It's just appears as a powder in the water, which is very strange. And we have the fields in that material, and that's the plasma fields. So in the plasma you have in the GANs you have the plasma, and that plasma is what we have to collect and to show that you can have the AC and the DC from it.
And there was also a question from some folks that were researchers from the Chinese end of things, and they showed they tried to find CO2 in the GANs that they collected, and weren't sure why it didn't show up in the technical tests. And I think Mr. Keshe answered that it was because of the way they made the GANs to start with, and also it may not be easily able to get the CO2. It's in a different form, so it may not show up in certain tests. Would that be correct?
Maybe cannot give a precise explanation of what they did and the way they managed to make the. No. No.
I think they're going to do more research on that and try to get a more pure sample to start with and so on, that's using the same procedures and whatnot.
Right. So to come back to the sets are made in the film, you can see that we have both LEDs lit at the same time. That's the picture I see in front of me for the moment. So the bottom LED is the DC connection, and the top, well, in the DC connection you have also a little AC, and in the other LED it's the AC that comes out. So Mr. Keshe is back, he's there. Arman is there also. Next, Arman has to say and to explain his.
Arman managed to do the first breakthrough.
Arman.
The phone is yours.
Did we say that
Okay.
Did we hear that Arman has made the first breakthrough, something like that? Is that what we heard?
Well, he made the first set complete to have some voltage, and okay, I'll pass the microphone.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Arman.
You will see the light. You will see a number of Sept first done that you saw.
Yeah. No, it's not flashing.
We are in 10, 11 seconds.
Oh. As John explained, it's very simple setup, guys. This is little containers which properly sealed. And inside I have one roll. Here.
Yeah, wait. Put your lens back to front.
Okay, try to adjust. Okay, one roll, I put a CO2 gas in the middle, and on the side I have copper oxide, and the last one I have mixture. In the middle I have the nano-coated wire, and on the side not nano-coated wire, which I connected series. You can see. And parallel connection is these three connected parallel to. Each cell, the total, it's approximately 16 volt, and amperage it was 18
Varies between 140 to 80 microamps.
microamps. And you can charge the battery easily.
Excuse me, how many microamps was that again? We couldn't quite hear.
128,
180 to
108.
about 80.
Okay,
Between 80 and 180 microamps.
thank you.
Okay. Any questions that I can answer?
Yeah, today is quite good. It's about 3 to 5 seconds.
Hello?
Yeah, could you maybe explain a little bit more about the torch as such, and what your intention is with that device? Is that will that be a teaching tool, or are you continuing to develop it out? Where's it going to go from here, do you think?
Guys, development, it's all on you. We just explained how it's easy to set up a cell. We can shrink it. We can make it any size. You know, it's very easy.
Let's take it first step further. Then we have the microphone. Good morning. As usual, we try to expand on the knowledge. What Arman has done originally last week when we started after the summer holidays, they tried to set up a system which was on the basis of the original torch which we showed during the holidays. And then the whole process was we discharged batteries and to be recharged using, in a way, nano layers and nanomaterials. The process was that you can produce the GANs this way. You have to put it in. You can use the nano material than relying on the chemical effect, or use the nano wires directly the way we charge the original battery. But don't forget, behind the whole process of the learning and teaching is not to copy, but to add to the knowledge. So last week, as we explained, the same as we talked in the workshop, was trying to make a system which works with GANs and nano layers. In that direction, a couple of days ago, I made a small unit, as you see in the orange and green colors, explaining the phenomena of how you can use GANs and nano layers and matters together to produce or to extract energy from the environment. And what was happening in the whole week last week and early this week was that everyone was trying to show that the nano layers actually do release energy and absorb energy from their environment, and they tried, as you've seen it in the demonstrations last week, I think, the capacitors. We tried to show charge the capacitors. In the background, a few times in the course of teaching, I explained a few times and before in other workshops that these nano layers or nanomaterials are AC/DC, and this overshot the listening or hearing the whole purpose. So yesterday, not yesterday, the day before, in making a copy as example, I made it the night before, and in the morning I put it in front of the knowledge seekers. That there was, these are the containers you see, the green colors or whatever, small orange containers. These are contact lens containers, double contact containers. So I put an electrode, nano-coated, and what they call soldering iron some piece, a lead tin for so when you solder wires, and I put two different gases, one CO2 and one copper oxide in each one. And so Arman picked up on it and made the system as you can see it, and he produced 7 volts at the beginning and a few microamps, and then he added 2 more lines on, and he went to about 15-16 volts as he measured it with a few microamps. It came to me that the knowledge seekers have missed the point in the whole process of doing these things, because when I was looking at the connections yesterday, they had fluctuations in their reading, and they were measuring different ways and suddenly disappearing. What it came to my notice is that what the knowledge seekers have done is that they have rubbed the nano layer on the top of the copper wire, and they have soldered the connection wire, which is non-coated, from the adjacent container to this one. And I explained to them, I showed them in a very simple way, you have not understood the whole principle of the working of the nano layers, because you cannot solder onto a nano layer, but how come you've soldered everything together? And I showed them for the first time that if you get a connection from the container adjacent to the nano coating, you get DC. With what they've done connecting the wire to by rubbing off the nano coating and soldering it to the copper, they are producing AC. So we put the meter back on DC, we produce I think 16 volts up to 22 volts of AC, and 8 and 9 volts of DC. So I explained to the knowledge seekers, this is what you have to understand. This is what we were trying to say from all the time. These layers, these materials, these nano layers have property of both AC/DC. They produce both. And if you go back in some of the teachings in some of the workshops, I said some of your voltmeters will burn or will start reading fault reading, especially if you don't understand when is the AC/DC with your dynamic systems. So you will, if you test now with your systems, if you repeat what the knowledge seekers have done, you'll find out if you take a connection, a normal connection on non nano-coated from one container to the coating of the, and turn it around, the coating of the your other electrode in the container, you will read on a stable DC. But if you clean the top of your wire and the nano coated, and again connect another electrode to the nano coat, to the clean up nano coat wire, you will read AC in a much higher value. That's why the reason for it is very simple, is that your nano coating in the liquid absorbs the energy from the plasma of the GaNs. But at the interface of the nano layer and the copper, because of the interaction between plasma and matter, the energy has to penetrate, has to pass through at the electron level, and it converts itself automatically to AC. So for the first time in the world of science, you have a material which, if you create the right condition, on the coating will give you DC, and on its matter level will give you AC. And this is what we've been telling you. AC is the property of matter. Now you can clearly measure it. Now you can clearly see it visibly. I think we can show it now. If you can, Arko, you have a meter. You can see the AC power of the system. If you go from one end, you can try to see it. If you go from one end to another, you will see, I don't know what your scale is. It's on the scale of 200. You have 2 points. You go to the other end. You have to go this way. You have to go, pardon? Put the light on. Okay, let me do it. Put the board down. It's okay, there's no problem. If you, then you can see. You see 2.2 amp, and you need to bring the other meter. You have a problem with this meter. A lot of meters gets damaged because of this measuring AC while you're on the DC level. I've seen it. I've destroyed a few meters this way. If you try to go to the you have nothing in there at all. You're charging there. This is your, which is it? Is it your AC or DC this?
This AC.
AC.
Let's try this.
Go back on DC. You have nothing there.
No, you're not here. You're not touching.
You have no voltage, but you're charging.
Let's try AC.
There we are. You get a discharge, rapid discharge.
60.
Yeah, but set it up and bring it back. Put it on the other one. Can you put it there? You're literally producing no energy at the moment. Nor AC, nor DC. That's your impossibilities.
That's tricky one. It's not working.
Okay, get it working and you can see it. So you produce both AC and DC with both with the same wires, and that's how what do you call it? John has shown the operation of the AC in one 8-track and DC on the other 8-track line. And so the production of, pardon? What's the problem? So what you said was the outcome of what has happened here, how we charge the battery. How much is it? 7.4 AC. They can show it there on the thing. So it's 7.4 volts on, go back on it, you can see. It's 7.4 AC, and if you go on DC, now you have to touch the nano code, go up. It's 3.7 DC. So the system concurrently produces AC. Part of the energy absorbed is converted. If it goes through the central electrode, becomes AC due to the resistance and the crossing from the nano layer to matter level. This has a lot of application and implication even in the medical side, which we explain later on about this. So what's going to be the next stage now that the knowledge seekers have repeated the process, and in a simple way, John has made 2 sets, Arman has made his own set, and now tomorrow we have a meeting with the Italian manufacturers to start the production for Italy of the first torch. On Monday morning, the other version on the capacitor car side will be made decision in Tokyo. We will know by Monday night what decision has been made in development processing. So the torch with the use of GaNs or without, as you've seen it with the capacitors without using the GaNs, but that was a matter nano layer last week, charging capacitors. They will start the commercialization more or less from tomorrow here in Italy and in what do you call it, in Tokyo. The battery is fairly charged. You see the torch is fully charged, that they wanted to see it. The proposal is that we have sent an agreement to the Japanese organization. The condition of the contract is very, very simple. It's 3 line. The first thing is, as they offered us, they are prepared, they will make a donation instead of a license fee or whatever, as donation to the foundation for whatever they use it for. Secondly is that they'll allocate themselves, that's what was agreed, 1% of any retail value back to the foundation, which any material they produce, any products, which allows us to do further research. And the only condition which the foundation has put on it, and is to be signed by the directors and the owner of the factory, and then backwards back to the Japanese authorities who sign on behalf in the background, is that no part of this technology in any shape or form will ever be used in defense or for application in defense or military. So attached to the agreement we sent to them is a peace treaty, World Peace Treaty document that they signed themselves into. We don't ask for anything else except this document to be signed. And we have already signed this agreement that technology only be used for peaceful purposes with the Italian organization who's developing it. Once the first prototype is complete in a formal shape as a retail unit within the next, let's say, a couple of weeks or whatever, depends who does it, we will release this to every Keshe Foundation around the world to be able to copy on the same basis. So then you can make your own different versions of it, or you can run a copy of what the Italians or the what do you call it, the Japanese will do. Condition is that you don't export it for your national, and undertaking that the material and the technology will not be used for what do you call it, for defense and military purposes. Then we leave the conditions of how you donate part of the structure of sale to the Keshe Foundation, which is controlled for your nation. So whatever we produce as a profit, which you make part for your company, for your own sales, and the percentage of whatever you see right to be correct for the knowledge and the technology which you receive will be spent in your nation for your national, the way you see it, for teaching, for helping the with the education of your nationals. So we go back to the ethos of the what the foundation sits from now on. So if you produce 1 million torches, or you will show you how to produce a AC/DC energy panels very soon. This is be the next step. Then whatever you have to charge a fair profit, and you'll not be the only one who will do it. Other people can see how they can do it. Anybody does the development or use the technology contributes a percentage, 1%, 2%, whatever they see fit, or like a royalty to the Keshe Foundation of your nation to cover the ethos of the foundation, which is for you lot to be able to develop new technologies. And at the same time, the benefit will to bring education to the ones who cannot pay for education, and the health and everything, the 5 ethos of the Keshe Foundation. So from now on, we will release, we develop, now it's been proven, everybody wanted to see physically it can be done. Now it's done in 2 versions, AC/DC capacitor with a light. And now it depends on your honesty with yourself and what you agreed when you joined, or you start working with the foundation and using our knowledge. So you can develop new versions. I know different people are doing more powerful systems. Very easily, these units, as you see, it's only about 3 centimeters of nano-coated material. So now you assume you add up, what do you call it, 1 meter by 1 meter. The diameter of the wires is less, it's just about 1 millimeter. You come up with the scale, then you can easily add up how much DC and how much AC simultaneously you can produce and convert 1 to 1, or use one as a power supply, which is running motors, AC motors, which if the need be. So as we say, you wanted the first step in development, now you have it. I heard Rick talking about our Chinese group who done some testing. I responded to them why they do not see and what they have to do, and there is a second emails going to them explaining how they have to do it and how we've done it. Their spectrum is just a little bit out of the CO2. When I compared them, I spoke with the people who are expert in this. So they have to organize that they capture the CO2 within the material they capture, and they will achieve the same thing as we have. The initial point is to be able to capture or work in the environment. There is availability of the carbon that you can capture the CO2, and how they do it and what environment they create to be able to capture it. And in so many ways, you have to create environment for it. It's the same as what we've seen with our knowledge seekers in the past week. They continuously been looking for a DC where there is a large amount of AC in the background. You can drain current both on AC and a DC, but you have to see how how you can develop it for the application you need to do. I'm sure by next week we'll show you something more interesting. I have explained to Arman yesterday that, and the day before, yesterday mainly, that Arman has brought in 3 or 4 copper reactors. He has developed and coated the nanomaterial in the center of the core, connected to a motor. And now that you have seen a static version of a nano coating with some GaNs in it, with a plastic container, with a wire connecting one core to another. Translate the knowledge to the cores which Arman has made. Can you put the pictures of the copper coil, the ones you showed last week, you brought in last week? Now translate the same knowledge into a dynamic version. Then you can see how, using these, I have explained to Arman how to adjust it and connect it. Convert these little plastic containers of the, what do you call it, contact lenses, to a dynamic copper conductor instead of the electrode, what do you call the wire electrode in these plastic containers, to the containment, which is the copper coil itself. And then the nano electrode, which Arman has put in the center as a nano electrode, which is coming out of these containers. Then you can see and envisage how you can start creating plasma reactors for energy production. The possibilities we will start measuring next week we reckon, runs into quite a large watts and kilowatts, depending on how we set it up. Arman has already loaded the reactors with CO2, am I correct? CO2, all of them have been loaded. But in the test which I set up for the presentation to knowledge seekers a couple of days ago, one had a CO2 content and one has a copper oxide content, the green one. Yeah. And we see higher voltage and current flow with copper oxide plasma. So we most probably test CO2, and it's very easy for Arman to change the material to copper oxide. And now we go into directly from this point into the production and measurement of the, what do you call it, a larger amount of, what do you call it, power, AC and DC from these little mini cores which Arman has brought with him from United States last week. So hopefully next week Arman can show us the power, how it's done, how it'll be done. There are a couple of problems he has to resolve. One of them is that he has to make his motor physically insulated from the core. That's one of the problems. The other thing is the power generated within the plasma of the core will not interfere with the running of the motor and the electric cables which are there, which connect the motor to it. So from now on we go into the dynamic power production, and then you can see a 2-3 centimeter coil, how much energy will deliver to us. The principle on this is that the nano GaNs layers will float around as the motor is running. The container itself, the copper, is one connection which will connect the contact to it, and because of the nano layering of the central electrode, which Arman has already pre-coated and installed inside, we concentrate all the energies to the center. So we see what we can absorb, We have to make some modification by connecting the cores internally and to separate the AC and DC at the same time. There could be heating problems on the material level. Then we explain this to you in more detail. So in fact, now we enter into the dynamic than the static position, and this is the reactors you see already there. I can see them. So you wanted the proof of the pudding that you can charge a battery. Not only we charge the capacitors, they have charger batteries. We've shown that the power can be done. Now commercialization is fairly forward, easy. The life expectancy of these systems, we have to wait and see. I reckon could be 5-10 years, but there is a small problem that when you are producing your ganses, please make sure that you thoroughly wash the GANs of any salt content. Your biggest nightmare, or when your system will stop working, is when the salt will start interacting with the metal which you use as another electrode, and then this starts some sort of corrosion interaction with the copper oxide, and then you'll find out you reach something like a solid gel condition, and then it's like dries up. We've seen this before. So all your nano GaNs material, because Arman and John and Marco have done this quite a lot here, wash it as much as possible with distilled water, that you reach a pure washed what do you call it, GaNs material. The biggest problem now for us is, or shall be, is that Arman is hanging all the 4 reactors on a plate. So as we start running these 4 miniature reactors for energy testing, because they create gravitational magnetic fields, now that we've seen the energy they absorb and they produce, we run into our weight reduction and lift. So if the assumptions on the working is correct and we can proceed the way we are proceeding, we have connected 4 reactors. Marco did last week setting it up, and with John and Arman, mainly Arman, has assembled the whole thing on one plate. The plate is being attached to what do you call it, weigh scale, digital scale, so any changes we'll see, and we expect to see the weight reduction and lift if the 4 reactors start creating the boundary or interaction between each other's fields. We have had a position in the lab this week that we could not, since, as you know, we set up a 3rd set made of ceramic, which John made just before the holidays. We go on holidays the last days, and since gone on holidays, we could not push, or I tried very hard to push the environmental field of the lab to the level prior, a week, 2 weeks before we go on holidays, before the ceramics come into operation, and we could not reach it. It got to the point that we easily reach 7, 6.8, 6.9, and we could not do 4.9 was the maximum we could reach, even in the enclosure, which was about 1.5 meters away or 2 meters away. So due to mechanical failures or reasons, we stopped one of these ceramic cores, and immediately we saw changes in the environment of the lab, in the magnetic field point of view, and inside the core, in the enclosure, with the core enclosure. Then when we switched off the second one, the center one, we saw further. Now we could hear the radios clearly, and it was clearly that the ceramic cores are extracting or absorbing a lot of fields toward themselves and interfering with the whole operation of the lift and the magnetic gravitational field of the lab. We have one of these ceramics we knew was absorbing fields from the beginning in the, what do you call it, closed enclosure, a closed environment. So yesterday we literally removed all the ceramic cores from the lab totally, and immediately we saw increase in the fields in so many ways start building up, and the field interaction and extraction was is getting some sort of balanced. So now we are back to the two main set. We are short of one core, so more or less, hopefully today Arman and John will replace it with aluminium, small aluminium core, because the size really actually is irrelevant to keep two-star formation, plus what Arman has built. So we don't stop with the static reactors. We enter in the static reactors plus the dynamic and the cores, and weigh scale is back online again. We measure it's we will measure the total weight of the 4 reactors hanging which Arman has made, and then we start running one core at a time. We measure environmental magnetic field effect of that core, the change of the core speed. What's the speed, Arman, you can go up to? These small tiny little things can go up to about 13,000 RPM. So we have a very good powerful range to do. But one thing you got to remember is that all the reactors, the big reactors, are run without any motors at the moment for a few weeks now. So the plasma interaction in the core, in the lab, what you see on the detectors is entirely plasmatic. What happens with the interaction between the plasmas? There is something interesting which is which has come up, is that, as you know, we start planning and doing teaching for children, and my son came up with a very nice idea, in a way, how to explain a matter and a plasma. What we've done is that can we put this torch away, please, from here? What he's done, can you show it? Can we see this picture? Yeah, it's there on the table. If you see on the table, we have an egg. This is an egg. What he's done is that he said he has seen a program that if you put an egg in vinegar for 3 days, the shell will disappear. And what you're going to get is just the egg on its own, but you can play football with it. And this is what we did as an experiment for the children. So what we did, we took 2 eggs. This is 1 egg, as you see it. And then you see the same egg without any shell. So what I explained to him is very simple. This is matter, and this is plasma. You can literally roll it. You can see it. You can roll it on the table. And it is very interesting how to teach children. Thank you very much. How to teach children the difference between a matter, which is the egg, like this, and there's a dot there here, and plasma. The yolk is inside, the shell inside, and it's soft. So this is the difference between the matter plasma and a plasma as a plasma which holds its own gravity. the yolk behaves like a proton, and at the boundary where we touch is where gravitational magnetic field of the matter is in balance. You can see the yolk is very soft, irritates, and then inside in there you have your electron. You don't need the electron. That's a principal matter, and from that yolk, whatever is there to the tangible part we touch is a transition field. And what is tangible we are holding is the, what you call it, the matter state. But it's in fact is a plasma. You can see it bounces, you can play literally football with it. But it's the same. Next time if we take two eggs and we show them, we can see how they can interact, how the plasmas are there and how it can work. Maybe this is one of the easiest way to start teaching and explaining difference between the matter as an egg or a plasma as an egg. So this change the yolk to the sun, and whatever is in there is what you like to see, God particles. So this brings a lot of simplicity into starting teaching to the youngsters. At the same time, it brings a lot of reality to the adults in understanding, in converting the language. There are a couple of points which I think we can touch on very quickly. One is that, as you are aware, we are fully involved in research and development for the finding a solution for Ebola, and we have started a collaboration, direct teaching and work with the scientists at the universities, with the professors and the doctors and the researchers. Hopefully by maybe today or tomorrow, the first materials will be submitted to the health authorities and government. Materials which is produced locally, online in past 3 days. Every day I have spent an hour, 2 hours with the scientists at the university. They have provided all the materials themselves. We've gone through the whole thing step by step. Maybe by tonight or tomorrow morning, they have enough material for testing of disinfection and interaction with the body or with the contaminated animals or whatever the government decides to run a rapid test. So hopefully by next week we will have an answer directly tested on site by the officials and by the medical teams, what do you call it, first hand. Successful or not, working or not, we will report it. But understanding the operation of the copper and the CO2 and their interaction with materials, we see how this product can be used for malaria, for other diseases which are virus-based in Africa.
Mr. Keshe, can you give us a little bit of idea how the materials might be used to fight virus, or are you talking about decontamination of certain things, or is it a different type of processes that might be used? Can you give us a hint there, maybe?
I got to take a rest. Just I'll leave it to Arman to carry on for a few minutes.
Thank you.
Can you give us a minute, please?
Okay, we'll take a little break here.
I just wanted to ask everybody how it was going on GoToMeeting there for the video, because I'm sharing the video as well.
Also, I was gonna ask, is it any link to John's video? You show on to GoToMeeting, but not on Skype.
Yes, we are back now. What was your question, Rick?
I think, let's see, there was a question. Well, there is a question in the live stream, which is, how do you determine the reactors are in a totally plasmatic state? What exactly do you measure?
What's the question? Can you repeat that again, please?
Okay, let me turn up your volume there. It was kind of low. Okay, I'll give you the question again. It's actually from Marek in the live stream. How do you determine the reactors are in totally plasmatic state? What exactly do you measure? Did you get that?
Oh, Mr. Keshe said that Marek been over here and he knows what we measured.
So let him explain.
So maybe he's asking for the benefit of others.
Sorry about this gap. I'm not feeling very well. I just ran out of energy. I couldn't speak anymore. Um, in the reactors, we measure the fields on 3 directions: X, Y, and Z axis. And what we measure is the difference between the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma outside the reactor and the gravitational magnetic fields of the Earth. So what we measure is very minute amounts, and we measure it in Gauss, not in Tesla, because you work with a balance. Scientists which work only measuring gravity, or scientists which work with only magnetic field or magnetical, they talk about thousands and thousands. We work with the difference, which is very finite, is very, very little. And so we measure what fields flow in the X, Y, and Z direction. And in respect in the environment, we produce a condition in all the reactors which a small amount of gases, hydrogen, are automatically ionized through the setup which we set up with nano layers or gas layering. One of the biggest problems for the plasma physicists when they come and see, when they look at the measurements and it reads only like 0.4 milligauss, they say, oh, this is nothing, gravitational Earth is 50,000 Teslas, and so your system doesn't do. But when you measure the way we do, we measure the true value in the environment of the system, because we have two detectors. One measures the outside, the environmental balance, the difference between the two in the environment, between Earth gravitational magnetic field and magnetical field of the Earth. And in the confined space, we measure of our system in respect to Earth. So when you do that, it's very, very small, and that's how we measure the effects of the plasma in our system in respect to their environment.
I have a question that, can you feel the effect of the plasma in yourself, in your personal environment?
Yes. This morning, before we come up, we went to the lab to bring the bits, meters and things. And the first thing we noticed between Marco, me and John was that now the radio is back up, is quieter than yesterday. Because when we remove the ceramic reactor cores to the lab next door, the noise was very high. We could hear the radio clearly. Last night I reloaded the reactors. What I mean by reloading is just we feed continuously one measure, which you've seen it on our system, is 4 centimeter approximately of 4 millimeter tube at half bar, yeah? Roughly less than half bar of hydrogen. And the minute we load this, in any of the reactors, within seconds or minutes, even if we load one core with that much gas, we see the effect of the change on the, on the monitors. They change even on the system which is outside because it affects directly. We see it. I explained to you last week, we had a scientist, a physicist here with us. The minute he became near to one of the reactors, the GANS reactors of John, the system suddenly dropped. He's interacted with his body. We see, we feel it. Sometimes in the lab, if the fields are strong enough, and we leave it at night before we go, we see sometimes, not all the time, the fluorescent lights come into start, what they call lighting up very little. Yeah, we used to. Pardon? In the fluorescent tube bulbs, because we showed this with Professor Mile when he was with us, and we had some discussion last week. I don't know if we explained it here. We talked about it, the difference between the work of Tesla and Professor Mile. Now in these systems, because we create both gravity and magnetic field, we have both systems. So we transmit out, and at the same time we absorb fields from the environment which is coming in. One strange thing which we'll see today, we haven't had time to go inside, is that because we had to remove the ceramic core of the enclosure, we replaced it now with the original energy unit. So now we have the original energy unit in the confinement of the control zone. This will give us new way of thinking, but what I think we should do is, once we start setting up Arman's units, then we can see the behavior of proton and electron as an atom of hydrogen, because they are free to move now. And then maybe we put it between the two sets we have and see how by changing hydrogen in one of the cores of the two sets, how it will affect the electron part of the hydrogen set of Arman. With what Arman has brought us, this gives us one of the most beautiful opportunities to start understanding physics and interaction of the matter and plasma in its true sense. I thank Arman for what he's done. It's fantastic. It's, for a scientist and a group like us, this is a gift. When God loves you, gives you a gift, and this is a beautiful gift for us to expand on the knowledge in a very rapid way. And as you've seen, now we added camera. Here's the first time we brought cameras, or second time. From now on, the cameras will be feature of these workshops. And
Mr. Keshe,
what? Yes.
can you just hold on one moment? I have to stop the recording and start it over again. So just one moment, please.
No problem. No. They gave me kind of injection, a mixed last night. They gave me.
This call is being recorded.
Sorry, I thought you're not listening. No, let me explain. Is the live stream on now?
The live stream is on now, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
Sorry,
very much. I just wanted to get on to the audio recording, as I think I was having problems with the video recording. So I just want to make sure I started the recording over again. Thank you.
I do apologize. I'm a bit, what do you call it? Slow. I'm in the half wine mode. I was in hospital till about 2:30 this morning, since about 9 o'clock last night. I've had problems for past few days, so yesterday I had to go to hospital. And I'm on a lot of, looks like 7, 8 different kind of medication. I see myself talking very slow. So it's a slow version. It's apparently there are kidney stones passing through my body. It's a lot of pain and a lot of bits, which is causing problem at the moment. So I'm half dropped.
Sorry to hear that, Mr. Keshe. And in relation to that, in the live stream, one person called Freed Planet says, noting before you said your energy was low, he says, can we as participants send some energy to Mr. Keshe right now?
Yeah, thank you very much. Marco brought me some Pepsi Cola. But it's just a mixture of medicines which have been given intravenously, and what do you call it? And all sorts of antibiotics and things. I've received a cocktail of about 10 different medications since last night, or since Saturday. The process doesn't stop. We carry on working. But my heart slows down, so I have to look forward. So we carry on, see where we're going. The whole process now, going back in what we were saying about Africa, any data we gather with the scientists in the university, because we are working directly, literally live on Skype with the scientists. We're going through step by step with each other, and once we achieve and we add to the knowledge and they confirm, we immediately, with the instruction from the office of the president of and what do you call it, the Ministry of the Health, we share knowledge with all the nations in Africa immediately, if it's positive, and the knowledge becomes international knowledge, freely dispersed. If it doesn't work, we look for alternative material to do the same. The same goes with our work now in Fukushima. Next week we will receive conditions of what the decision is in respect to Fukushima, and then we'll share the same knowledge with other nations in respect how to and the way to be done. Yesterday when I was online, or the day before when I was online with the university, Rick came online on the Skype, says, do you want me to record it? Record the sessions with the universities. At this moment, we have agreed, gentleman agreement, that we don't do anything, we don't show anything till the final results done, ministries agree, tests will be done. You ask me how will be tested. I have set up certain procedure for decontamination or what do you call it, cleaning, and then we set up a procedure for digestion process to be able to change matters. This disease shows certain characteristics, like when you get any contact with the body, or you get an injection to the body, at the point of intrusion of the needle, you have bleedings, or the different part of the body starts bleeding. We looked at the reason why we bleed, and the blood can go through the vein to the wall of the veins, or the skin, or internal bleeding. We looked at two different directions of it, and the way we will apply if the ministries, health ministries, and tests agrees. Then we look at it is two ways. The internal bleeding, because this is a virus, is energy based. The virus, if is taking so much energy within the lymph system and within the body, it reduces the size of the same cell that become thin enough to cross the wall of the vein or the skin. Or it's not like a rupture or cracking of the vein, where you can apply vitamin K to stop the bleeding. As you know, when a child is born, immediately they give the child injection of vitamin K to seal up any bleeding if there's any vein cracked. With this, because it's a virus based, so it must be taking a lot of energy in a plasmatic condition from the limbs, and in that way, the flow of lymph through the bones and through reduction of the strength in the immune system, in production of the bone marrow. And so the way we are looking at it is to be able to energize the lymph with the material, because it's a plasmatic, but at the same time being able not to damage, that we don't block the lymph through the bone marrow. So we will, by trial, we'll find out within a few days which and how, which way, which combination of materials will be used. One material for disinfection is literally, they add 30-40 drops most probably to a liter of the material. You just wash your hand, you just shake your hand in it. We have told them, do not rub your hands against, just you wash your hand and just rinse the water. And you can use this continuously. This is feasible, and we have considered this technology, this process, in one of the books, which is book number 5 for a space health technology. you create a plasmatic gas condition which is heavier than the infected germ. So the energy of the virus, in a way, not the germ, will be absorbed into or by the GANS material. We've seen this operation literally in Fukushima, where we added a few drops of copper oxide or CO2 into the land contaminated soil, and we saw reduction in the gamma rays, not in alpha and beta, because gamma is on the radiation level, and viruses are in that level of working as far as we can understand in the plasmatic condition. So if it's a microbe, we don't see how it will be like alpha and beta radiation. But because it's a virus-based disease, Ebola, so the assumption is that it will behave the same as what test was done in Fukushima, and it will change the magnetic gravitational field, or what you call Magra strength of the germ, and or what you call it, of the virus, and then we will see the changes. On the other hand, the beauty with, if we can use the mixture of the ganses, which we think can be done, one GANS will destroy or reduce the strength of the virus, and the other GANS, all through the cup of life, we can give the energy which is lost through the illness. So in one way we reduce the strength, in another way we strengthen the physical body to support itself, to come out of it. This is at the moment a theory, but the condition is so critical that can be tested. It'll be tested hopefully within the next 7 days on the ground. First of all, with contaminated water, if you see the water contamination reduces from the Ebola virus, then the next step will be very rapid, how the ministries will decide to do it, or the government officials, health section decide. In the group which we are developing the material, there are professors and doctors in physics, in chemistry, medical doctors, and a few other scientists. So it's this, what do you call it, the elite of the university have come together. In this part of the country at the moment there is no Ebola, so we are working freely, hopefully. And then at the same time, as I said to the chancellor of the university and to the officials and to the ambassadors and the government we work with, is whatever, if successful, the university will go ahead rapidly with developing this for national usage. And at the same time, this process allows them, through, as we spoke earlier, to be able to produce portable lights for the students in the university and nationally, because there's a shortage of national energy. We can show them to develop it much faster in the university with the support of university. Any financial income which generates through this process immediately will be reinvested back in the university of the country, the 3 universities, and with it we'll reinvest back with the help of the government, or the way they are, back into the nation immediately for other application, and freely making available this tool as energy or as a process of helping the nation in processing the illness. At the same time, to the context we have with other governments around Africa, we will immediately pass the knowledge to both what do you call it, to the ministries of these countries on the health and governmental level. Pray for our brothers and sisters in Africa that the test comes correct, that we can find a solution for this position. But with this, if this is correct, and I hope it is, with the indications are is correct, we can immediately run a test for malaria. because malaria is around about the same kind of processes. The whole advantage with this is now the knowledge is in the hand of the nation, in the hand of the scientists of the nation, and they know that the whole, what do you call it, outside world knows what they are doing. There is no need for importing or pending for somebody to develop something for them with a limited cost or limited distribution. The process is so simple that anywhere in the nation is a homemade, home-based technology supported by the foundation here, and I'm sure the rest of the scientists around the world who are around with us and work on this level with us, if they find anything as effective and so rapid, if you have access, you will share it with us that we can share with the rest of the people in Africa or anywhere else. I see a very parallel to this is these flu we get every few years, which run through the animals. They come usually from Far East, different type of, what do you call it, viruses with the bird flu and the rest. This will give us an opportunity for governments to handle these things at the point of, what do you call it, startup, anywhere it is. It has huge applications if it is correct, and we'll share the knowledge as we've done with you as we come across. Is there any question?
Thank you, Mr.
I can go
Keshe.
home now.
Maybe we should.
Hello?
Maybe we should have an early.
I think we are on our own.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
here. No, we're
no.
here.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. I didn't have that microphone on.
I thought I had not much energy left. I thought now you're all asleep.
No,
I
no.
told you a very good lullaby, huh?
No, I think you had some interesting tales to tell. It's a matter of where do we start as far as questions, and you seem it seems like you could use some rest today as well. So maybe we won't have an extended 3 or 4 hour session, but maybe just a little longer.
After this, I have at 12 o'clock. I have 1 or 2 hour sessions with the scientists in Africa, with teaching and carrying on with the process. And after that, I have a 2 o'clock appointment again with the situation which is carrying on with the Belgium here with the authorities. As you know, the Belgian authorities are trying to they're trying to make a case now that my books are not worth what's written in it, and they are deciding that my books are what do you call it, crooked books, and they're not worth selling. And so they're deciding I'm not intelligent, so now they're trying to find another way to stop the spread of selling of the books. According to their knowledge, there's a lot of rubbish written in there and it's not worth printing. So now they're trying to come up with another criminal summons, and they are blocking the books to be delivered, and then they're trying to tell us, you're not delivering your books, you're taking money. So we have enough receipts. There are 300-400 books sitting in the post offices and the shippers, which are not getting delivered by the instruction of the government. It's very much like what happened with Libya and other Middle Eastern countries. They put mercenaries in, attacking the government, and then they said to government, why are you defending yourself against our mercenaries? So it's your problem, so we're coming in to take everything over. It's the same technique and tactic now is played by the Belgian government. Now they couldn't come through the way you lot send emails to the police and everywhere else, that they stop the procedure. Now they have come up that we don't, my books are not worth written and it's all rubbish, so they're assessing the knowledge now. Apparently it's the same thing as the guy who said the earth was not the center of the universe. Now they're deciding apparently my books are not worth there's a lot of rubbish, so they're trying to sue me for writing rubbish books, but they still allow Playboy magazines to be sold on the open, what do you call it, racks of the shops. This is how...
Mr. Keshe, can people still donate to the Keshe Foundation in order to buy the books? Is that still available as an option right now?
Yes, you can still make a donation. We still deliver. You see, the thing is, we are not involved in it. We have deposited the books with a, what do you call it, a company which is a book printer, and they charge us. They tell us all the costs you see these days, what they charge. We were charging so much. They said this is not enough. This 20 or 25 euro covers part which are too expensive, with the other ones too far. So if, for example, one country costs 14 and the other country costs, let's say, 30, they cover, balance each other off. And secondly, whatever is left from the money stays in the foundation for the work of foundation. And if my books are rubbish, you can send your book back and we refund you. And secondly, if you have paid and you haven't received delivery, you pay through PayPal, you claim your books back, your money back. So either way, we are covered, but this is a new technique. Apparently, they interviewed 30 people. They're making a case out of it that my books are not worth written on.
I know personally,
So now,
Mr. Keshe, I know personally that there's been several people that did not receive their books, and when I contacted them and contacted you, you handled it immediately and found out where the books were, and each person received them, almost right away.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Rick, you're breaking up.
Okay, I'll try to... can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah. What happens is that they deliberately delaying the delivery of the books, or they are sending the books to the wrong people, or because of the delay of the book, a lot of very clever people, they claim they have not received their books. They go to PayPal, they get a refund, and then they receive the books. So they get the book by fraud. And then we are finding out a lot of things. And there are some people somehow receive double books, and so they're happy they can read one book on their head and one book on their pillow. Or some people write to us that they received 2 copies of the book. What can they do with it? And we always tell them, please give it to another person who can benefit by it free of charge. So in any case, we have 3 boxes of payments we have made to the Belgian Post. Strange enough, everybody's book and everything goes everywhere except Keshe Foundation. And the officials at the post office in Belgium tell us these books are by order of government, is kept in the post office central station in Brussels, and they are not allowed to forward it. So we found another way. We again send the books different channel to all the people who did not receive it. So this is a new technique and tactic used by the Belgian government. Now they're assessing whose book can be sold, and if it's good enough scientific book, according to Mr. Hans Brackenier, he decides, and the King of Belgium has to follow to give the orders. So now from now on, please do not publish any book in Belgium, because unless you sell pedophile books or Playboys or lesbian magazines, these are officially acceptable in Belgium. It's like Canada. Iranians are not scientists. Their books cannot be published. Now, if this writ is supposed to be published or released to me on the 20th of this month, according to our sources, is that from now on, they only teach gay magazines and lesbians and playboys in Leuven University. And if you want to study medical, you go by anatomy books, you take a playboy to the classroom. This is how ridiculous is becoming the situation with the Belgian government. So this afternoon I have to spend a couple of hours with the authorities to sort this matter out. So the next question. Hello?
I'm here.
Are we still there?
I don't have any more questions right away. I don't think.
You're breaking up.
Yeah. Okay. I
Break.
don't think I have any questions right now from this end. What about you, Vince, on the go-to meeting?
I don't see any questions on the go-to meeting either at the moment. I think it's probably a good idea to maybe pass it over to the knowledge seekers, because Mr. Keshe sounds like he's getting a little bit tired. Is that
You're
right, Mr. Keshe?
breaking up. We are not receiving. Your
Okay.
voices are all chop, 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 chop.
Yes,
chop,
that's
chop.
right. There's some interference going on. We're having some bandwidth issues here, I think. So we're
Do you
saying.
guys want to turn off the video on the Spaceship
You
Institute?
want us to switch off our video? Okay. We switch
Yeah, maybe
off.
that'll be help with the video, with the bandwidth,
Okay.
I mean.
Right, that might
Can you
help.
take your video off? Yep. We closed all down on the video side.
So I'm wondering what Vince was
Okay.
saying. What Vince was saying was that maybe we should let you go, and we could talk to some of the other knowledge seekers if they still wanted to continue. And also, we did have a question. Tell us more
Is there
about.
any question?
There is a question to tell us more about the health workshop, which I know is going to be on Friday. Friday afternoon.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow for you. That's right. It is. Well, it's Thursday here. It's confusing, but yes, Friday. And is that still scheduled and okay for? I think it was at 2:00 your time, was it not?
2:00 Central European Time.
It was.
As we said, we start mass teaching. We try to do it every Friday or whenever Elia decides. Elia is the organizer and the person who is monitoring the side on the medical side. I think the session is about the bone and the bone structure, and is online. Can she speak herself?
Sorry, we're getting some breakup here of Mr. Keshe's voice from the Spaceship Institute.
That's right. It's breaking up, but the gist of it was is Elia online to be able to talk about. Oh, that's why, because we had some images coming through, I believe. They're just popping up now, so we probably had some background things going on there that was taking the bandwidth. So
yes, probably.
Arman,
If there's anybody in the
switch everything off.
Yeah,
if there's
I
anybody
know
in the Skype call that's downloading the images, please
Yeah,
stop.
you're posting
It's not
things.
good
I
to
know what
download
it is now. It's Arman wants to show off his beautiful, beautiful little baby
So now,
newborn reactor, and that's what it
okay,
was.
now
I'll just
stop
I'll show the picture briefly here so we can see the youngin. And
okay, now we are back in normal.
She's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
You know,
Thank you, Arman.
you know, it's a beautiful thing if we can do what we would like to do around this reactor. This, the next step to this, what you see, this reactor, it'll be a smaller version of this, will be used for medical application. This is the next step, but we'll see where we go and how we go with this. Now we can hear easy. Yes, regarding the medical, as we said, it'll be, we have two options. To teach or discuss the health application as a medical side only for people who are involved in health, or teach irrespective of who listens, is for the doctors and the medical people to use it for their patients. So if anybody common or normal people listen, and then they go and do damage to themselves. Oh, he said it in there and we done it. So we have to put something at the beginning, very urgent, before tomorrow, that all the knowledge here is a knowledge for the people with understanding of the health, not for a common man without a consultation with, what do you call it? Without a consultation with a scientist or a physician. I think we have to put this, otherwise we give a, what do you call it, free run for the people sitting in Germany and are waiting as to find, say, the what do you call it, they are teaching health the wrong way and they are criminals and the rest of it. As you know, most of the pressure coming through legal channels or trying to come through legal channels are coming through Germany and another side of Austria. These are the Third Reich, which they see the Keshe Foundation belongs to them. They do anything to bring us down unless they get what they want. And partially they are paid by pharmaceuticals in the disguise of their Swiss banks and other banks and the cash notes across the table. We know who they are, and in time they'll be disclosed who they are, but they say they take every legal action. They go to immediately. How the beautiful thing is, they know exactly where each prosecutor is, and they're writing to the prosecutor of this and that, and they do this and that. These are highly connected, directed, and advised by the lawyers within the pharmaceutical and Third Reich in Germany. So we know who you are. Have a fantastic time. Now, every man from tomorrow will be a medical man if they want and understand. Same way as we shown the reactors here, as you see Arman's and the other reactors. In the coming weeks, months, we start teaching you how to make your own health reactors, health systems. You can donate to the foundation if you want me to do the job, or you can pay another man, another person, doctor, who can do it for you. The interesting thing is that it's very much like plastic surgery. You can pay $5,000 and do it on the back street, and pay $30,000 do it in Hollywood. So it depends how ugly you want your face to be made by who. So from now on, it's very much direct, and our colleagues in what do you call it, in Malta have set up the system. Documents apparently needs to be signed today, tomorrow, and you can actually go to the Keshe Foundation Health Malta and operate through that site. I think Elia has set up a Gmail for any questions you have on the health side. I think it's called healthkf@gmail.com. I think if Elia is on the line, she can post it.
That's right. That's the correct address. healthkf@gmail.com.
Yeah. Elia, can you please come online and explain what you expect to do tomorrow, please? She's not away. She's there. She most probably has a patience.
No, she's here. I asked her to join into the go-to meeting so she can come and talk about it. So if we can just give her a couple of moments, I think she can come in and talk about it, I believe.
Marco, can you download this onto the... It's nearly full, I think. Later on into the master. It's over there. It's amazing. Hi, good morning, darling. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Yes, we can hear you. You're on live stream as well.
Yeah, thank you very
Can
much.
you explain to us what you planned for us?
Just a second to mute the live stream because I have a lot of applications here. Just 1 second.
It's amazing for a doctor. She's knowledgeable about computer more than me. Anybody is more knowledgeable than me how to use computers.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, Alia.
Yes, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, so for tomorrow, the subject will be the normal anatomy of skeleton. This is the bones organization of the body. The normal anatomy of and then Mr. Kesh,
We're
Mr. Kesh,
getting a feedback, Alia.
echo.
You're getting an echo.
Yeah, just
Do
1
you,
second.
do
Wait
you,
me for a while. Just wait.
Yeah, just mute your live stream. Yeah, just mute the live stream if you could, please, Elia.
Is she there or have we lost her?
Everything's okay.
Okay, she's back.
Okay, so for tomorrow, the subject is the skeleton anatomy and the Magra anatomy of skeleton and what is the relation with emotional part of the brain. So the first 10 minutes of the workshop, we started with representation of normal anatomy of skeleton. Then up to hour and a half, Mr. Keshe will be represent the Magra anatomy of skeleton, all the bones of the body. And the last 30 minutes of the workshop, you are able to ask the questions and you get the answers. So the workshop we organized to last 2 hours. And if you have already thinking about the workshop and you have some questions what is already in your mind, please send me in the new email. This is the healthkiev@gmail.com because it will be more easy for me to read and answer during the workshop. Or if you leave some question without answers, we are able to send you the answer to your email after that. Also send in this email your Skype account if you want to participate during the Skype call. The duration of the workshop will be only 2 hours. It is not that like in Thursday we speak hours after hours, only 2 hours. So we have to be completely organized and stick to the time. And the next Friday, if you leave some questions without answer, they will be answered in the next Friday. So that is the schedule, and I just asking you for your attention to be more organized and to put in the live stream only questions and everything which is related with health. If you have some additional information for me or for Mr. Keshe related with health, please send in this email also. Also patients who want to be, how is in English, represented them case to the Mr. Keshe is the same, in the same Gmail, health TF. And then everything about the health will be in one place, will be not missed emails to everyone, will be sent the replays for whatever. Either they are the patients or they are the colleagues or just they're interested about the plasma health. That's it from my side. If you have some questions.
I did have a question, Elia.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any prerequisite knowledge before joining that workshop to be able to have it explained to themselves appropriately? As in, should they look up about the GANs, or is that going to be discussed?
Okay, could you please repeat the question because I'm not so sure I understand you properly, Vince.
Well, my wife is, of course, working in the health field, and she, of course, doesn't understand what GANs is. So what I'm asking is if there's going to be any pre-required knowledge to for this workshop to be able to understand of what's being talked about, or is that going to all the knowledge going to be given from step one?
Okay, I understood
It's
you. So
open to
the
learning something.
workshop, they are public for a public, so they will be represented in the normal language way from the beginning. It is like education, so it is the lesson one, then the lesson two, you understand? And then will
Okay.
be represent all the knowledge to the end. But we just decided to separate the body like we study in the medical university. I mean, it's more easy to understand the structure when we start from anatomy. So the first part in medical university in anatomy is the skeleton, all the bones. And then we go part by part. I mean, functional systems, physiology, to understand. Because it's more
Yeah.
easy to build the body when we start from the structure, bones, and then we put like layering on the tissue up to the bones, and then finally we get the whole body done.
Right.
Okay, so that was the main
Let
idea.
can I add to what Elia said? This what we'll talk and what we teach is from our point of space research and development. This is not to fit in to the present health and medical books. This might create a huge problem for a lot of medical people because they want to come and add to their knowledge according to what they studied. And they'll find this as a huge shock. And this is important for somehow we make a note and put tomorrow in front of each session that people understand that these workshops are according to the research and development and our way of working as with the plasma, with the structure of the plasma in the universe. Because a lot of people come in and they studied 2 and 2 is 4, and this is still 2 and 2 in 4. One is written with blank ink, one is written with a blue ink. So they only want to see it in the black ink because they always use blank ink. But the whole purpose is to train people, scientists, that in the space technology they can help themselves in the space in a much simpler way, in a much effective way. So we are not running health teachings which is against the books because somebody has written and has to be done accordingly to what's written in the book. In fact, in a very simple way, if we follow the present medical books, the bone is just a piece of material which holds the muscles together. But in fact, if you work and understand the structure of the bone, the whole life to do with emotion, to do with living in the environment of a man is totally dependent on the bone. Bone is not just something that the body has used to stack up. The way the shape of your bone, the cavity of the bone dictates everything, even how the cells of your emotional part of your brain are produced. So The bone is the most important part if you understand why. Why you turn short, why you turn tall, why you bend, all these things, all your emotions, why you have a weak immune system, why you have a healthy immune system. This is all to do with the structure of the bone and your emotions. So we're going to teach in that way, that you understand the whole concept. And nowhere in any books we know have put everything all together in one place. So the teaching, the explanation of all the health will be in detail why, how, and the physicality. And what applies to the man applies to any creation in the universe. So if you're a medical doctor and you say, okay, why you do this, but I don't get an answer for this, for that, is because you have to understand the way we look at the plasma, you have to understand the way we look at the interaction of the plasma, you have to understand, as I showed, and we had a plasma physicist here very recently, and we had a nuclear physicist of Italian Nuclear Center a few months ago. They said the way you define plasma is totally different than what we've been taught. But for the first time, it makes sense. You can put things together. So as I said this before, the top guy in nuclear industry of Italy said 80% of what we've been taught in the universities and up to now accepted with this definition we have to put in the bin. And it's a lot of hard work for people to do that, to ignore what I've been taught. That's why now with the teaching tomorrow, starting with Elia with the medical, we go into the way we look at it. It's very much the way you say the homeopath look at the structure of the body different way. The other people look at the chakras and try to treat it. Other people look at the auras. We look at the physical plasma condition of the body. And again, next week, we follow it as it is. Elia dictates exactly where she wants to go and how she wants the teaching to be done. She's a doctor. And all the doctors who are around the foundation, or we can put now, we can put on the front page of the foundation, medical teaching or health teaching. We don't do treatment, we process. Please make sure anywhere in the website, anything you put in, we do not treat. We are not doctors. We allow the body to process itself. And the processing is done by itself through the environment is done. And then next week or so, we go want somebody in the forum or somebody around the Keshe Foundation around the world come to an agreement with Rick that we start going into theoretical teaching. So we come 3 lectures. And hopefully whatever medical report, good or bad, working or not, we are not ashamed of failures. What comes out of Africa regarding Ebola or malaria, we with the agreement of the government, we will release data to other governments because public will panic and they use it and they damage themselves worse. So we will share the knowledge immediately with the neighboring nations in Africa who are in this problem. I have some connections in the government in 2-3 countries, and John has contact with people in Congo. In Congo, we have a very good relationship at the highest level in the ministerial level from all times of my work. We immediately inform governments, and it's done internally how it'll be done. But on the other hand, I'd like to thank the Chinese scientists who are doing detailed work in the spectroscopy. I have written a reply to you how to do the measurements, but due to this, what do you call it, attack of sickness I've had in past few days, I will post it for you very soon. And I will post, hopefully in the coming days, now that the knowledge seekers all become teachers themselves, they're very much working independently their own way. to develop their ways of doing things allows me to release the paper of the, what do you call it, nano layers and GANs, which enlightens, opens up a lot of things in how your body works. And then in that I explain how, literally how the GANs and plasma and nano layers in the body work as a neuroinformation system, as a AC and a DC GANs flow. And that one leads to illnesses like MS and ALS. In partially, hopefully, we have for the first time started, as we're more or less here well getting trained and understand as knowledge seekers, the first, what do you call it, assignment of the foundation has gone to Arman. We have given him 20 days to fly his systems. So from now on for next year, he says 28 days. 1st of October. 1st of October is his deadline. He dictates how to and what he wants to do. And as a team of knowledge seekers here, now that we finish with the batteries, we still develop it to understand more of it. Arman has got the first assignment to make sure, at least to do our best as a team, he's gonna lead in achieving weight reduction or lift in part of the proof of concept. So now it's collectively we work here to achieve his first assignment, and after that we go to the next one, which is the production of most probably health reactors, which that will happen hopefully in conjunction with John and Ivan, because he's a health man, he can tell us. And John is good in making reactors that he can suit or fit what he thinks can be done. We'll see what happens. But now for next 20 days, now we passed making the torch. We showed we are real. There is something people can touch. They can enlighten themselves physically. So till 1st of October, the director is Mr. Arman, in how he wants to direct us to fly and how to do. So we start working as what do you call it? If you have any advice, you can write to him or write to us. What do you see to be done? As I said, we make the knowledge so accessible, so easy, that a man on the street should be able to build a system to help himself and his family. So you have seen how 4 people, 5 people here have achieved it. The torch system is available. We will most probably sell the first units on the website within the next couple of weeks, once our Italian colleagues produce what do you call it, the first retail unit. They're going to market it, they're going to value it, and then we'll give you the blueprint to the people who want to do it, on the condition that they sign back to us that the system will be used for application of the piece. Because there's a lot of application with this that can be used military-wise. And hopefully next week, we will not announce it, but next week or the week after, we announce a short notice. Keep an eye on the forum, because I'm back on the forum again. We're going to actively use the forum in posting things. We will do a private session for militaries and armies on the defense technology. And we show this through physical technology, and this link will be sent to the way we did with the distribution of the USB stick. We'll send the link to every embassy and ambassador, that they can get their militaries to look at what is in the hand of everybody else. So it's a competition for peace. but in a way we try not to get it to be able to be accessible by other idiots who run around with a different idea. Any questions? Thank you very much for the Pepsi. It was fantastic. I was just, I could hear my heart dying. I did a pump. It's not easy to get drugged in.
You can have some once in a while, right?
Yeah, I have no problem. As long as it's not diet, it's no problem. Real sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, something, I don't know if I've told you this or not, but we were discussing this with Ivan as well, because I taught this to Ivan, or we talked about it a couple of years ago, and Ivan, being a dentist and doing it is very shocking. He's making himself bankrupt, but is good as a dentist. If you have, I think I have told you this or not, or I'm sure I have. It's very hard for me not to say when I know something. If you have children, or even yourselves, if you want to keep away from dentist chair and the drilling, every night before you go to bed, just put a small piece of cheese in your mouth and chew it. Even if you have cavities, you will find out the cavities somehow sort themselves out. The cheese has a chemical in it which balances the acids which decay the tooth. You can have 10 cubes of sugar, 20 cans of Coca-Cola before you go to bed. But just before you go to sleep, get a piece of cheese and chew on it. Any cheese. White cheese, cheddar cheese. Cheese is got a process. The dentists know this, but if they tell people, they won't have no patience. So this is one of the secrets that in ancient times some races had their teeth till old age. If it breaks through whatever, there's no problem. But you can avoid a lot of tooth decay, especially with children. You train them from young age to just a piece of cheese before they go to sleep. The environment of the mouth. Pardon? You don't need to brush because even your mouth doesn't have that acidity which creates that you need to brush. Your brushing is good. The toothbrush on its own without any toothpaste is a fantastic thing. I've explained this before. But when you use toothpaste, this is the time you create a lot of imbalances in your body. I've explained this before. I think what's the company which I don't mention name not to get sued, but one of the toothpaste companies 2-3 years ago, more 5 years ago, did a test by adding one element because they thought it'll be good, and they added it as a research, and they had to withdraw it because not to be sued, but they created a lot of heart failure. They created huge amount of heart failure for the trial case under observation, because this material is a mineral, is a metal. When you put it on the toothpaste, when it was mixed in the toothpaste, when you brush your tooth, the information in the brain was a lot of this material is coming. So the body had a surplus, which is the material needed for part of the heart. So the body released the material out of the body, and okay, you spit the toothpaste out. So there was a weakness in the heart, and caused huge number of heart attacks and all sorts of problems. They never announced it and said it's
So
got
this
nothing
is along
to
the
do
same
with it.
lines. This is along the same lines as the Diet Cola then, for sure.
Yes, yes. You cannot fool. I can release the name of the company, but I'll find the document which supports it. Then you can read it yourself.
Can you just tell us the element?
Oh, look at zinc.
Okay.
You have to understand zinc has got a lot of applications in the body. One is to do with your neural system in the brain. One is to do with emotional side of it. Zinc in conjunction with potassium can cause a lot of problems if you disbalance it. Zinc has a direct connection with the neural system of the muscle tissue, which is connected to copper. In the neural system, in the nerves, as you know, I always explained it, in a white neural system, your conductivity of the information goes through your nerves. But when it comes to the red tissue, copper is the conductor in the capacity of the transmission of the right gravitational magnetic field that can carry the message to the white nerves, and zinc plays a major part in these connections. And if you go back to another part of it, this is why they connect a lot of what do you call it, things like Viagra with zinc. It has a connection with, as much as the physicality.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, has a connection with the emotional part of the brain too.
It's part of the reproductive cycle, though, too.
Yes, but it has a connection. The gravitational magnetic field of the zinc within the structure of the brain is in the field strength of the emotional part of the brain. And when you use it in conjunction with potassium, it'll affect the physicality in relation to emotion. I don't know if you know it or not, in the olden days they used to use potassium for epileptic attack for dogs to reduce it. So in so many ways, you have to understand what you put in your mouth. If you put something in your mouth once and you spit it out, there's no problem. But if you make a regular habit with it, then you create a havoc within the computer system of your brain in what it needs to be kept and what it needs to be released. In very much, we will see a lot of these problems with gases you're producing. The behavior of, especially like I was looking at this, our Chinese colleagues in China have done Raman spectroscopy, but they say they can't see the CO2. You have to find out what CO2 has attached itself, that it shows itself as that material. You don't physically see it, but it's the field spectrum that you have to look for. Even they've done the X-ray spectroscopy. You're looking in the wrong direction, but look at the, and there is something I've written in the email for colleagues, Chinese colleagues, they'll receive it from me in the next few days, is that this, how can we start calibrating what gases, how we can we calibrate gases more or less on, I explain to them how they have to do it. That you, with that field, you know, this is a gas of this material, and eliminating the factor of the water, which is a common factor denominator, but the water, which is the gel or a glue for connection between different gases in atmospheric condition, it's gas of water, not water as atomic or molecular water, atomic hydrogen or atomic oxygen, but as a molecular gas. very soon I'll show you, especially hopefully when we develop the process with our colleagues in China, in Japan, how to identify these things. As
So that
I
was going
said,
to be my next question. Was that I believe it was the 23rd or the 24th workshop that the question was asked of how to verify that you have a GANs, and you said give us a month to find a way. So that sounds like this is part of that process. Is that correct?
yes, but the thing is, as I always explain, if we tell you everything, you don't understand it. So, as I said to the knowledge seekers here, I can come and show it and walk away, and that's it. They copy it, and then it's done. We've seen this with very much with the torch today. If you look the way that Arman has done his charging of the battery, how John has done the gas battery, how last week we saw the use of the wires to charge up the what do you call it, the capacitors. I show something and they follow it, but I leave them to the point that when they get to the point they can't do anything, before they lose hope, I give them a bit of a spark of energy. So that's why yesterday I showed them this. Last week I gave them a piece of wire, how you connect it. And this is part of the process. You hold hand till you can walk, and when you can walk, you go faster than me. But it's that process of we see even with people with the ILS, with other diseases, are volunteers. They are happy as long as they see a little bit of progress. But the thing is, they don't see a progress because they achieved what the body can do, and they expect to do a marathon, but they're 80 years old. They can't do the marathon, but at least they can use their body. They say, "Oh, it's not working because I could not go and do a marathon. I wanted to do a marathon," but they don't see that they couldn't walk. Now they can walk and what do you call it, do things they couldn't do. So we try to, I take you to the point you understand, and then we add to knowledge. And now, as I said to you, the captain for next 20 days is Arman, and with the system he has, with the knowledge he's gained from the production of the energy, using a nano electrode in the center with the GANs and the connection of the wire, it's direct comparison to his cores, he should be able to produce few kilowatts of energy. This is what you've been crying for. We don't need for the Italians. Now your understanding is that far, now we add to it. He's got to find a way to measure the current and voltage, both AC and DC, and convert what he needs from AC to DC. I have called on our friend Mr. Bassan. Hopefully he will respond to us to join us with in respect to conversion of the ACs, because as you know he's a volunteer on ILS, but he's a beautiful engineer and highly involved as one of the top companies in inverters from AC to DC. So we take the AC part of the plasma, hopefully with the help of Mr. Bassan, to make it into or DC to AC. This is the beauty with the foundation. We have so many volunteers from different, what do you call it, ways of lives, that because we serve them well and we try to help them, they help back, or they participate back into to add to the knowledge of the knowledge seekers and the foundation work. We don't need to go very far. Hopefully when Arman gives us his energy and AC and DC, we will go back further, one step further in this process with the help of Mr. Bassan and the Keshe Foundation group in Italy, which will start producing the what do you call it, the flashlights. I'll have a meeting with them tomorrow morning. Actually, I'll meet them this afternoon. We're going to meeting about it tomorrow morning as well. So this is the extension of the knowledge. Then, as I explained to the knowledge seekers, instead of using even the nano layered electrodes in the upcoming reactors for a space lift. Once Arman comes close to it, I will show him a new trick. How to do it without any nanomaterial. But he has to learn to walk first. And then we go to the next step. What's this picture on the screen we see? Who has... Is that a teaser?
Thought that might get your attention. I wanted to get you before you go there because I know you probably want to get some rest, but I'll throw in, yeah, this is a teaser. Let me go back to the beginning here just so we can watch it. Okay, there it goes. That's the, there's the doorknob reactor in the center. And the ping pong ball reactors are 3 ping pong ball reactors on the outer parts there. They're all rotating. They're all under vacuum. The brass ball is nano-coated on the inside. The ping pong ball reactors still have to be worked on. They're all driven by one motor. And I'm showing the belt system, the way it works there now. It's a sewing machine motor from a Singer sewing machine. And there's 2 belts on it there, you can see. One belt goes to the center reactor. The other belt drives the 3 outer reactors. And they go in counter rotation because the belt, I show us a close-up here, I think, of the belt is crossed, so it reverses the rotation for the outer ones. And so I'm able to actually add and remove gases to them while they're rotating. And I've rotated the ping pong ball reactor up to 10,300 RPM. We haven't made the 13,000.
Have you lifted yet?
Don't have lift so far as I know, but I am nano-coating the inside of a, I'll try different coatings because the ping pong ball reactor is very inexpensive and it's actually quite versatile. The first coating I'm trying is a pyrolytic carbon coating on the inside, which is the best diamagnetic material at room temperature, and that'll repel a magnetic field. I figure it'll sustain the plasma in the center and have other gases and possibly GANs in there. So to create that layer means I'm going to use a gift from Guy, which is his blackberry jam, which is a sugar material. So I've actually, I've got a setup where I've got blackberry jam inside the reactor, spun it at high speeds and watching how it reacts, and I'm trying to vacuum it off at the same time to create a coating that's solid on the inside, and then hit that with high voltage from the plasma ball power supply to try to convert it into a pyrolytic carbon without frying the skin of the rather fragile ping pong ball. So that's the challenge, and it's inexpensive, and it at least illustrates, if nothing else, it illustrates possibilities of a simple system, and it may actually fly one day. Who
If
knows?
Mr. Singer knew what the people are doing with his motors and his tables, he would have turned on his grave. But this is fantastic. This is what is coming up. I know a boy in Africa is trying something very interesting in the line of electronics and everything else. Let's see what they come up with. But you should be able to fly with a ping pong ball if you get it right.
I truly believe that now. I've had a bit of an epiphany in the last couple of days about plasma, and I have a totally different understanding after combining what you've been trying to tell us for a couple of years and longer with your books and videos and so on. And I'm trying to grasp what you mean by plasma. And you mentioned earlier in this broadcast that there's confusion with the scientific community with what they call plasma, which is generally this highly charged, high voltage induced plasma, like in a plasma ball, right through to lightning and so on. But what you are speaking of is a more balanced kind of plasma, and it's available in many different levels. And what I think it might be in terms of the scientific community is something more like what they call a electron-positron plasma, which is a matter and antimatter balanced plasma.
Please do not use that terminology.
Which
You've been taught
the
now.
antimatter and matter, or the
Antimatter and positron.
okay.
You can change the electron to a positron. Increase the gravitational magnetic field in one of your reactors, or bring one of your reactors close to another reactor, distance-wise. You will see your electron will stops and then it starts rotating the other way, or what you call clockwise. Positron, what they call, it should be, and it is, because we have reactors, I've tested this. The change, the position, and I've explained this even about the Venus. The change of direction of the rotation of any plasma is dependent on its internal gravitational magnetic field, the strength, in respect to the nearest or the influential gravitational magnetic plasma in its environment, or its distance from it. You can keep the same distance but increase the gravitational magnetic field if the gravitational magnetic field of your electron can be increased in respect to the proton, or in a way reduced by a factor, a specific factor. You'll find the field forces of the stronger mass magnetic gravitational field will change the rotation. There is a reason for it. It's to do with the absorption and what do you call it, entry and exit of the field forces which exert on the plasma of the matter. Or the distance. When the distance is too close, then the field flow much faster in the circuit, then that flow of fast will change the direction of motion. So positron is the same electron due to position or the strength of the gravitational magnetic field. And Venus is, as you read, and I explained this before, they say Venus has been hit by a meteorite, it's changed direction, is a lot of rubbish. Venus changes its direction of motion in the clockwise because of where it is now and its gravitational magnetic field strength in respect to the magnetic gravitational field of the Sun. When it goes further forward and that changes, it will change by 90 degrees on one axis, and then it moves back to a electron but anti-clockwise, and in that change will lose its balance and gets literally gets shot into the center of the Sun, and then Earth will take the position of the Venus wherever it could be as the first two planets near the what do you call it, near the Sun. Even there is a possibility that, let's say,
Sorry, we're getting a little bit of a break up here, Mr. Keshe.
Yes. Even if, let's say, Jupiter, pardon? Let's say even if Jupiter's gravitational magnetic field, to whatever reason, suddenly changes, Jupiter can be literally start moving clockwise, or without even coming close to taking a new position, be absorbed by the center of the Sun and be pulled in one go. It has happened before, and it's nothing unexpected. So it's in a way partially is part of what Einstein called it the funny thing. When you change the plasma, the twin plasma will change polarity because it has to keep the entry and exit flow the same. If you increase the flow of the plasma, you will bring the plasma to take a new, what do you call it, position to allow the flow of the plasma through the twin system. And you have twinity in different gravitational magnetic field strength. So if you don't reach that twinity position, you cannot change the polarity. Sun changes its polarity every 11.5 years because it's not that field strength to the balance of the rest of the planetary system in this solar system. None of the polarity changes sequentially with the sun. It has to be in its specific gravitational magnetic field changes strength. So if you find the twin star of the Earth, you'll find out every time the Earth, what they call it, the sun, every time the magnetic field polarity of the sun changes, the twin star will change. And this has happened very recently, which has kicked in the interaction of the collision of the two star system. I explained this, and we will show, even if it leads to the destruction of one of our reactors, how it will happen. All these processes we explain is already on the floor. What I explained to you, that's how you can get kilowatts out of the system, or a small core which Arman is making with the nano coat in the middle. I show to the knowledge seekers. If you look at the original reactor, steel reactor of the Keshe Foundation, which with 3 brass rings, that system already has been set up and produced huge amount of energy because it was filled in with the GANs, and the wire which connects the center to the brass ring is already nano coated. So it's not something new that we are aiming for. This is something which has been done before. Even if you go back on the first reactor, which is a museum part, is in my office in a glass shell. The material inside was nano coated, the bar, 2005, 2006, and tested, and the energy produced was so huge that it damaged the axle. I bring it and I show it to you how it's been axle. Now that we open the cameras, a lot of these things can be shown. So we teach you as you come to understand the process. You should be able, you showed us once last week or 2-3 weeks ago, the sandwich process with the nano coated and what they call aluminum foil and another nano coat layer. I opened the door, and now today, see, within 2 weeks, the knowledge seekers can charge a capacitor and step further using the GANs instead of, what do you call it, material. I explained to the knowledge seekers last night that if they take exactly what they made to charge the battery or the torch now using the GANs, if they make 2 wire electrodes uncoated and 1 coated electrode, or maybe 2 coated electrodes in the same container, and connect one of the non-coated wires to the next door neighbor coated electrode, and then rub the top of the electrode and connect the second non-coated wire from the adjacent core or a container to the copper, you will be able to produce AC/DC at the same time from the same battery. This is an opportunity which the science never had before. You take your DC through the plasma, which is the nanolayer coating, and you take your AC through the matter side. but you have to watch how to do it. In some cases it doesn't happen, you say it doesn't work, because you have to understand the balance carrier potential difference Magra strength you have in your system. You might have to change your GANs mixture, you might have to change your GANSes to be able to create that. So when you connect, as I do with a battery, non-coated to the coated part of the copper wire, you work through the GANs and you work through the plasma level. But if you clean the nano coating of the wire and then connect the wire to the matter part, then you have an AC-DC. This is what I tried to explain yesterday to Arman. I said the day before, I said, Arman, start working on motors. You managed to charge a battery up, but he couldn't see it. He couldn't understand what it means till yesterday on a table. He was showing, says, I had this, but it's not there. And I looked at it, I said, you know, you're still in a schizophrenic condition. You connect part of your system to the nano-coated and part of it on the top, because he has soldered every single thing. If you look at the pictures, he has coated, he has soldered every wire to the nano-coated on the top, on the tip. So he's using partially some places AC, some places DC flow. So when you start making these systems using GANs, always understand you're working with the plasma side, DC, or you're working with the, what do you call it, the matter side with this AC. These are very
And that
little
AC, that AC,
that
I
AC
think it's a dynamic AC, so it does. There's a question of what should be the AC frequency, and I think it's whatever is required for that AC to
is
provide, isn't
required.
it?
It adjusts itself. Yeah, it's a few micro. I think it was 160 micro amp or nano amp. No, it's not milli. It's micro. It's micro, and then you find out people like Elia. If you can measure this AC at that milliamps, then you understand the process of production of the neuron system for mental diseases and repair of all the elements in the body. This is the next step in development of the health unit. We don't do magics. Now we speak, you can see, you can measure nano and below nano length current flow in plasma. Now that you have these miniature reactors, then you understand the process of working of the human body. Then we start. We are after 6 months of what do you call it? Slow. You are learning you've learned most of the basic. Now you can start building on the knowledge in a very correct way. So if you put it this way, if it's a bit far-fetched, or let's bring another part of the science together. What do you do when you do acupuncture? You centralize the energies which are in plasmatic to one point. You stick in, literally, one of these non-coated materials in the plasma of your gans of your body. Now you understand the connection between the sciences. Now, instead of connecting electric current to a point to massage, in a specific point, connect it to a nanolayer. You do a DC plasma current. The processing is very fast, very effective. Then you understand, in our health side, we don't do magic. Look at the container, which is on the table, built by John or by Marco or by Arman in past few days. Look at it. It's a muscle tissue. All you've done, you stuck a pin in it. What has done that nano pin has done? Is in a plasma condition. brings, absorbs, attracts energy from outside or energy within the structure of body. That's why a lot of people don't understand the work of acupuncture. But in a way, acupuncture, with the needle you put in, you bring in the magnetic gravitational field of the ganses of the elements of the body to tune them to be in the same strength. And sometimes you say it doesn't work because it's not done, positioned in the right way, in the right place. So now we add and bring the knowledge from other side into the game. Now you understand more why you have to understand the difference between the AC and DC. They give people the wrong plasma condition, even they connect electrodes in it. If you understand how when they produce electrodes they're connected to the brain to do all sorts of the funny things they used to do in the 60s and 70s, if they would have understood the plasma condition of the brain and the plasma condition of energy they had to produce, you can literally put electrodes within the brain structure and redevelop the part of the brain which was not developed in the womb of the mother with a full DNA information. This is what we do with the helmets which we make for conditions with the mental problems. Understanding in which level you work. Understanding the reason you work, where you work, how you make the connections. These are the things which we start teaching more in the health side now that there is more practicality, more understanding of the physical part. Any questions?
So that literally means that it is not element independent.
No. It's plasma dependent. It's plasma, gravitational magnetic field plasma dependent. If you can, when you look at the picture of the amputation, toe amputation, which was done in 2006 or 2009 in Belgium, we understood the gravitational magnetic field strength which was released by the brain for the thymus to receive and for the lymph to convert every tissue to be a nerve, to be a calcium as a bone, or to be a fiber of the muscle. And the whole thing is the size of a what do you call it, smaller than, or I should say, the system is the size of a €2 coin, no bigger. But what we did, we produced a reactor which was literally positioned facing the amputation. So we created a Magra strength that would cover the whole Magra strength current flow which comes from the plasmatic condition of the brain for reproduction of new cells. And as far as the information was carrying on, the body was building back on what it needed to do to replace. You can speed up. This is literally, if you understand, this is how reptiles, when they lose their tail, they do it. The reptiles, the creation of the tail, extension of the tail, doesn't come at the end of the tail and then the gap and then you see the tail and the two ends join up. The reptiles in their skin, they create where the cut is, where the what do you call it, the dryness of the material comes at the end, the cut. In that layer, they produce a specific gravitational magnetic field which fools the brain in the order of producing the material to reproduce itself. So as it gets reproduced, the skin of the animal is the reactor I made. That's all it is. So the information is in tune with the cell, because that cell in our physical body as human being dries up and it has no more communication with the brain. But in the reptiles, there is a link of communication just underneath of the inner layer of the skin. So it reacts as a, you call it the neuroplasma reflector. So what the tail, the skin of the tail of the reptile does, or the arm does, I've copied the same thing. Actually, if you look at the cores, the reactors which Arman used today, this was the size of the reactor internally built and put in front of the toe. So as far as the brain is concerned, there is still there, you attract the information, and the body doesn't need it. It just follows the information is gone, so it's used. It carries on with development. Understand the process. Understand why. In the teaching of the medical side, you got to understand, look at everything, even next week. Why everything has a membrane. Why everything has a skin. Why everything is compartmented. Look at the liver, it has a skin. Look at the kidney. You cut a kidney, it's a skin, you peel the skin off. Look at the bone. Look at the diaphragm between different sections of the body, where the heart is and where your legs finish. All these create specific reactor condition. And this is what the world of science has not understood. You just look at the skin. That skin creates specific gravitational magnetic field, which is within that reactor, a specific solidification can happen, which is solidification of the texture and the channels of the, let's say, liver. If you take the skin of the liver and put it on the kidney, it will not work. You produce most probably liver cells on the kidney. That's all it is. Because you create the condition. So in space, when you have a captain who dies of a heart or has a heart problem, you don't go to another passage, can I have your heart for the captain, otherwise we all die. You understand the skin which the heart creates in which part, and what it does, you replicate it and the heart repairs itself. There is no magic, now you understand, but you have to understand what DC, nano, amp, plasmatic flow, potential difference you create. Then you have what you call it, a mixture of different texture of tissues inside each other. Complex conditions like the tissue of the heart. Very easy to make once you understand it. Each skin, the skin of the man creates condition of the man the way it is, has to be. Because that is the field which allows gravitational magnetic field to coincide. The skin of the heart, the skin of the liver, the diaphragms you have. Separation. Why do you have the diaphragms at the end of your belly and on top of your belly? Because those diaphragms, the texture, the gravitational magnetic field they create allows the containment of and production of Jupiter, Saturn, or what do you call it, Earth. Because that's the condition of the plasma of the solar system. But in your case, you call it the heart, the liver, the kidney. But they all receive the same plasmatic condition, and that's the shell. This was the egg which we showed today. Try to understand the process, try to understand why. Try to understand what it does. Why do you have a skin on your brain? If you go further in the neurological side and find the emotional part, you find out within the brain the emotional part has got its own sac. It's got its own membrane because it's an entity on its own. And the scientists have not seen it, they have not been observant to look at what is there. So start looking now that your knowledge is expanding in a deeper way. We try to explain. Understand why you move the position of your electrode in, like when you go from on the, what do you call it, on the nano layer in the system, like what Arman has shown. In the different positions away from the GANs, you get totally different, what do you call it, a plasma magnetic field strength than further up. But you're so passive, this just doesn't matter wherever it goes. Everything has a reason and a positioning. You have to start looking into detail. When you understand it, I expand on your knowledge. Now it's time to understand. Start even mixing the ganses. Start mixing the GANs and the containers. Marco is working on, yesterday I said, okay, instead of you making these electrodes which goes from one container to the nano-coated wire in the other container like Arman, put aluminum foil and then that becomes your electrode. And just put a, what do you call it, a nano-coated in the middle of it. Then you will see you don't need the connections. And then you understand how carbon in the amino acid works. And then how the neural system communicates. The structure, total plasmatic structure of the amino acid in conjunction with the graphene or graphite, gravitational magnetic field decides the connection, communication between nerve system. Then extend the knowledge further. What gravitational magnetic field changes the gravitational magnetic field of the amino acid on an outer layer of neural system to be conductive or resistive, that it can pass in respect to his environment or receive. If he passes, you got MS. We spoke about graphene crystals. Crystal structure does not exist. Read the paper which I'm writing in about the nanotechnology. We had to speak the language people could understand. It was like the first book. It's the universal order of creation of matter, and then we spoke about the matter, antimatter, and dark matter, because people at that time I couldn't speak about transition and principle. Now they understood. Now you understand, we expand on the knowledge. Then you understand very easily how you can replace any part of the body. You create an external condition to be done. You need a liver transplant, you need a heart transplant, you need anything. You can create a condition and the information for that part of the heart. There is no need for valves to be produced to do operations. There is no need for, I was explaining it to Arman regarding, he's got a blockage in his arteries into to his brain. Why do you get these diseases? Why do you get these blockages? And I said to him, what happens if I do with your heart? So start looking at the totality in respect into what you expect or what you want. What you expect is not necessarily what you want. What you expect is what you wish your body to produce, is the family coding system. And then you understand more how the process works. You can put as much magravs as you like, and none two of you will ever get the same reading, because your expectation dictates what is released by the system too. You put the limitation on the magrav of the GANs by your own expectation, because it's your thought, is magnetic field. Until animosity and being better and being first in human race does not die, you will find these things will exist. And that's one of the beauties of man. In not being unified, homogeneous, we achieve things in different ways. Any questions?
I think we should let Mr. Keshe get a rest. We've gone over 3 hours now, which is
Yeah, I've got to
enough for
start
us.
teaching in Africa now. Yeah, 12 o'clock to start.
So much for a rest.
Yeah,
Okay,
that doesn't
well,
matter, but start learning in totality. Start understanding in totality, and then you'll find out you know more than I do. Is there any questions, or we finish? Please don't forget.
Let's finish for now, I think.
Yeah, we left it to you to make the donations to the foundation, and hopefully Vince will sort out this click with the donations. Do not donate through PayPal. Any donation make directly to the foundation in Holland, because at the moment writing books is criminality in Holland, in Belgium. So the fairy tale books like mine is not acceptable. As I said, Playboy has more value than a scientific book. So we leave it. And thank you very much for your time. We increase the time of teachings, and we increase the time of live broadcast, that you can see things. We try to record things, or at least now we open the cameras. You can see things much easier than being loaded in advance. You see it live on as it happens. Thank you very much for your time. And the ones who I don't mention, unless you want to mention yourself, involved with the taking of the, what do you call it, the website, it's all in your hand to, what do you call it, to complete it. You have the total freedom with it to change. Please sort it out as fast as you can, if you can do it, please. And
Yes.
thank you very much for all your help. Thank you indeed. Have a nice day. We'll speak tomorrow.
we all wish you the best of health. The people on the live stream all are sending good vibrations your way as well.
Thank you very much indeed. All the best. We'll speak tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Right.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to, I think, wind down the live stream now.
Yep, and I'll be stopping the recording.
Okay, so thank you everyone on live stream once again. Another great show here, and thanks for all the questions. We got a lot of them answered. There's always more, of course, but we're on the right track with that stuff. So thank you. Bye for now.